That is what it is. So we're going to hit go live. Now, I'm going to assume that it's already live, but we're also going to listen. So let me know what you actually heard when it went live, because I'd be curious. But for those who are not worried about that, hey, welcome to the Lore Reloaded. Check me out at twitter.com/Lore Reloaded. Bit of a quote-unquote trigger warning there. I talk about anything that I want to, and I do a lot of jokes. And so my politics and my beliefs may not counter or go with yours. So don't go there if you only care about Star Trek happy, fluffy stuff, because it may not be the place for you. Additionally, twitch.tv/Lore Reloaded. Going to start doing some gaming there. Going to be fun. Going to try to pull other people in. Maybe get some people like Eckhart's Ladder. I think I can talk him into it. I'm going to reach out to Templin Institute, but I doubt that'll happen. We'll also, though, try to get Continuum Trek, German Trek you may want to play, and also Sid Alpha and all others. It's going to be a lot of fun. But with that out of the way, hope every one of you are doing really, really well. We got 100% American Buffalo in the hizzy. Matteo Garcia, Charles, the facts are here. So we have the facts on the channel, so that's all that matters. Barry Tolar, everyone knows that it is not an actual good time until Continuum Trek and Charles Stromville comes on. So, you know, basically we're started. Basically we got everything. Everybody we need. Everyone who should be here is here. And that's all that matters. Just, you know, close-knit amount of people. So let's go ahead and start breaking it down. Have some discussions about Trek, moral quandaries, and whatever else you guys want to talk to. As you know, I am here for your entertainment. So it's just whatever people would like to talk to or get into. What's interesting to me is I've been trying to, Orataka Tinga is here. I have been trying to expand a little bit beyond what I'm doing in multiple ways. As you guys know, I have the series like the Dominion Wars series, the Romulan lore series, about to start a Klingon lore series. I did the Borg lore, but I also kind of want to start doing just one-off videos, as well as expanding to you know, a little more live action stuff. And I'm talking better than what you guys have been seeing. I've just been testing the waters with me being in front of the computer. I actually intend to do more with that. Matthew Malloy is here, first-time chatter, long-time watcher. What's up with you, good sir? So, but a part of that, again, is the expanding into things that I haven't normally done, which is to find a video and kind of just more do one-offs on it. You know, I know a lot of people love when I do the specific lore breakdowns, like the battle breakdowns or the ship breakdowns, but the channel for me has to be a little bit more than that. And so I'd love to have that conversation like I did with the recent video today, specifically going into the Outcast, which, you know, here's something ironic, and I had it in the script, and for some reason I cut it out. I'm not sure why. Maybe it just didn't flow, because as I'm trying new things, my scripts have suffered. Have you noticed I've used words I shouldn't have, or sentences are kind of awkward? And maybe it was just awkward, but what I found interesting is when I was researching that video, originally the video was speaking to homosexuality, or they were trying to. It's kind of weird when you don't have homosexuality in a episode speaking to homosexuality, but whatever. Transgender rights never was considered for that video, because no one even considered people to have an issue. It just wasn't something like people who were transgendered were just considered to be cross-dressers. And so it's ironic that they never thought to do this from a transgendered standpoint, because the rights of transgendered was never a consideration at that time. I think there's an irony to that in myself. And that's not, I don't want to get into the conversation or debate about transgenderism itself. Whether you like it, believe it, think it is or not, that doesn't matter. The world itself, the United States itself, a large majority consider people who are transgender to have rights, and that is something to push for. So whether you believe it individually is irrelevant. I'm talking about from the West's point of view. But yeah, I thought that was funny. I don't know why I didn't include that, but I want to kind of do some stuff like that too. I not only discuss the science fiction itself, but how it impacts and how we can reflect ourselves in it. That's one of the reasons I love science fiction. That's one of the reasons I have that conversation. So I was, but I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on it, and um, how you guys, if you enjoy it or if you don't. I'm really curious about that. We got sci-fi. I think Bird of Prey 5. Usually they do it either earlier or later than right now. Picard is still Locutus. Everything after Best of Both Worlds Part 1 is a Borg simulation. So they're doing a XCOM 2 is basically what it is. Because remember, everything in I guess I just ruined the game for you. Anyway, everything in XCOM actually didn't occur. It was all a part of a simulation. So basically, the Borg are doing an XCOM 2 type deal to Locutus. Picard is, I already read that. Avoiding controversy as usual, I see. Have a like. That's true, Hidden Trail Video. If there's one thing you can think of when you think of Lore Reloaded, it's being milquetoast and not worrying about and not doing controversy. I just don't go into it. That episode occurred long before gay and trans rights became a mainstream thing. I think Bradders the mod says, hi, Mom. Well, hey, I guess. I'm not your mom, but okay. Trans rights, I'd agree with. Gay rights, not necessarily. I think it was becoming more and more a thing because it occurred in the 90s. So it was starting to pick up steam, in my opinion. But I am, again, curious in what your guys' opinions are when it comes to these type of discussions. Everybody relax. Rod B. Rules has arrived, so, we've already gotten that taken care of. So everything is now kosher, as it was. And TNG wasn't the only one to do it. Interestingly, and this is going to make a lot of people angry, one of the most curious dilemmas that was done, and I don't think is controversial. So they did a question that wasn't, or they did a quandary that isn't controversial, but is still a good dilemma. And this came from Discovery, and it's going to make a lot of people mad. But it was at the middle, because I bring up Discovery, but it was in the middle of the season, and basically the Federation was just getting the ever-living heck beat out of it because of the cloak. And they had to find a way to detect what the cloak was. So they go to this planet that has the ability, and the planet somehow is alive, and it can hum or make its own frequency. And so using the planet, they could actually detect cloak. And so they go to the planet and try to utilize what they think is a naturally occurring element when it's actually alive. I forget I don't think the planet was alive, but whatever they were trying to use was alive. And so the planet, not understanding the Klingon Federation war and what's going on with that, contacts the Klingons and tells them exactly where the Federation ship is so that they can have peace. And so now you have the Klingons coming to the planet, and they're going to destroy the planet if they're not stopped. And so you have the Discovery there that is the only thing that has been able to counter or stop the Klingon invasion, or slow them down at least. And so now they have a quandary. Stay there and try to defend the planet, likely die trying, or leave, as the Admiralty have ordered them to do, and let the planet be destroyed, because the Klingons will not allow that planet to live, especially since it has the ability to detect cloak. I love when Star Trek writing, when it's sci-fi overall, but Star Trek does it really well, I think, when it just comes together and puts quandaries before you that that challenges what you do and what you think. And that's kind of why I'm trying to look at that too, and to do a deeper dive. One of the reasons I'm even more critical of Starfleet is because I think that it is interesting to take a look at what is supposed to be the utopia and challenge that. I actually like Starfleet. People get that wrong. Even though I question and I'm critical of almost every action, that that Starfleet does, I actually like what they stand for, and when they do it right, I think they really, really do it right. That's just my question. The ending to the Klingon War was the stupidest ending ever. I can definitely agree with that. The Planet Pavo, I think it was the Planet Pavo. It was in the middle. I think it was the mid-season finale, which I hate mid-season finales, but anyway. Oh my God, Laura, couldn't you at least brush your hair? Well, I'm sorry, Wayoon. It's just your mom likes it like this. So maybe if you can talk to her and get her to convince me to change it, I might change my hair up. But for right now, she really seems to be a fan of it. Like the end of the Minbari War was actually stupid and not deep. The end of the Minbari War was interesting. I would agree it's not necessarily all that deep. The tie-ins make it salvageable, but if they didn't have the tie-ins, it would definitely be a bad ending. I agree. Mel Betterton, coming from Illinois. Well, a good example of genders besides the episode Outcast was when Data built Lol and Offspring. Maybe, and I've never looked at it like that. Self-transforming machine elf. Mid-season finales make no sense. They aren't a finale at all. I agree. I hate the fact that mid-season finales are a thing. I can't stand that. Someone asked about Farscape. So Farscape itself, no, I'm not going to do Farscape. I'm going to start Stargate one day. I've said that I was going to do it earlier, and it wasn't a lie because I meant it. I just haven't gotten to it. There are things that I want to do and I want to stay consistent on. I want to start doing BattleTech a lot more consistently, MechWarrior a lot more consistently. I want to do Battlestar Galactica Reimagined a lot more consistency. Though I'll say this, I'll look and do a little bit of the original too. Farscape just doesn't seem to be consistent or cohesive. And maybe that's just me because I've only watched episodes here and there, but it doesn't seem to have a lot of rhyme or reason. And so that's hard for me to latch on to it. That said, maybe if I watched one episode after the other, it would make sense to me, I don't know. Do you think the utopia/dystopia contrast in track was at all intentional or just a natural result of so many different writers? What's intriguing to me is that if you look at The Next Generation, you look at Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and even Enterprise, they all have, they all feel like they have cohesiveness. And I use that word loosely. They all seem to tie into each other. Lucas would say they rhymed. There is consistency and continuity issues, and sometimes they're drastic, but it feels like they all match together and you can make them work. Paul Amon, given $2. Thank you so much. As you guys know, this channel only thrives with super chats, Patreon supporters, and viewers like you, so thank you so much. So it feels like they were given a list or a set of things that you can and can't do, a way of writing for Trek that is Trek. So I think that because of that there is consistency, that it feels the same. I think that's why it's so starkly different from Discovery. I think that's why Discovery feels so different, even though it's supposed to be in continuity. Well, it is in continuity. That's why when you look at the original series, now you take away the campiness, the 60s tropes and such, and you look at the writing and what it was supposed to be, how that ties into The Next Generation, how The Next Generation ties into Deep Space Nine. Now, I think Deep Space Nine was specifically tied to The Next Generation. I think that was on purpose. And then from Deep Space Nine, we look at Voyager and even Enterprise. I think that you can see that while maybe not on purpose, they were still following the same goals and the same attitude. I don't think Discovery was that way at all. And I think that's why it feels so different from everything else, personally. By the way, guys, we got 28 likes and 69 people watching this. I'm trying to do this more for you. If you like me doing it, please hit that like button. Do it. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. It is fact that if people who are watching this hit the like button, YouTube will show it to people who don't subscribe to the channel. It'll be a recommended to them, and it's a great way to broaden the conversation and help the channel grow. Son of the Allfather is here. Rosset is the sole breadwinner soldier, so no money to give. Hey, only support if you can. I've never told someone to give money they don't want to. Just continue to watch. And by the way, sole breadwinner for the win. I know exactly how that works because that is my situation as well, good friend. R. McDudd is here. So let me ask you. Let me put the conversation back in your hands. When it comes to Star Trek, do you like when they do the politics? Do you like when they do the question of the day? Like, and so just to give you guys an example, I got something coming up I'm excited about. I'm actually going to rewrite the I'm going to rewrite one of the scenes for Discovery to specifically address some of the issues that they had. So I would, I think that Discovery could have done it really well. I really do. And let me take the super chats and then we'll come back to that. First off, Mara McNamee is a Patreon, so supports the channel 100%, and then becomes a member. For those of you who don't know, if you don't like Patreon or don't want to do it, you can become a member. Being a member gives you all kinds of different icons and things that you can show up. You can have, there'll be all kinds of special little emojis that others can't get that are coming down the pike. So consider becoming a member, especially if you don't like Patreon. You can get the same things that you get on Patreon. Bird of Prey 5. Did you see the DS9 doc, What We Left, given $5? Thanks for supporting the channel. Did you see the DS9 doc, What We Left Behind, gives insight into what social issues they could and couldn't tackle. Great documentary. I haven't seen it. It's a funny story. Funny being relative. I bought tickets for the documentary. And, but unfortunately I couldn't, the sitter that was supposed to take care of the kids bailed and I couldn't take them to it. And that was unfortunate because I really want to see it, but I didn't refund my tickets or anything because I still wanted to support them. So I still, paid for it. Lore Reloaded. I created a fan idea for Star Trek show, if CBS had a brain, an animated series called Star Trek The New Human Adventure. It's a show set between motion picture and The Wrath of Khan. Okay. David Dicer, thanks for the support. Do you have a link to it, or you want to give us some ideas? You don't have to super chat, but just put @Lore Reloaded so it pings, because if you put @Lore Reloaded, it does a special color for me. Tell me what's your fan fiction idea. We'll discuss it. Joseph Pejrik says, I like how questionable moral Archer had in season 3. I think season 3 got a lot better. And I do think that there were some questions that some issues that Archer had to make that really did push things. And I like that, especially in The Expanse when they were going through that. I think that The Expanse with Enterprise was done better than Voyager because things actually had consequences, Let's see. Our man Bashir breakdown. Yeah, I can do that. Hit the like button, but don't like the hair, says Michael Lindsay. Well, that's interesting because Michael, your mom and the other guy's mom, because they were together when they were telling me this, and they were explaining to me, well, more screaming, how much they liked my hair. It's just weird that your moms like it and you guys don't. Talk to your mom about that. I haven't read a lot of Battletech, says Mary McNamara, since the early 90s, though I specifically remember the mech guide I had back when I had a Veritech design, which initially brought me in. So here's the thing. I played Mech Warrior back during the day. I played Mech Warrior 4. I played Mech Warrior Mercenaries, and maybe Mech Warrior 2. And I read a couple of the books when I was younger, and I absolutely loved it. What's going on, German Trekkie? I absolutely loved it. And I love the idea of Mech Warrior. I want to do Warhammer 40k too. It's just, I think that the mythos and history of Battletech and Mech Warrior is just really fun. That would be the Phoenix Hawk or the Shadow Hawk designs with the Wasp also looking like Veritech. Not sure what we're talking about there. Mary Sue's ruined stories, if not dealt with early, like almost immediately, says Ross. See, I would agree with that. I do think that Michael Burnham was a Mary Sue, and that really, really hurt the show. But to be fair, in TNG, Wesley was probably the largest Mary Sue that existed, and I think that that is hugely impactful to negative to those episodes he was in. So Mary Sue's, I would agree, hurt the show, even if they're not the main focus. Lore Salty. I always get stuff about my hair. I don't know what you want me to do. When I get my hair cut, you guys still say it's whatever. I don't, besides insulting and inferring that I'm sleeping with your mom, I don't know what more you want from me. Jade is going to talk to my mom about my hair because imitation is the highest level of flattery. Well, she's dead, so... and turned into ash. So you'll have to go to my sister's house to talk to her. That'll be interesting. If she talks back, I would be very interested in knowing that because I think that my beliefs in the supernatural are drastically wrong if you actually have a real-life conversation with her. By the way, when Mary talks and David Deister talks, look at that lovely green. How awesome is that? You guys, you too could be in lovely green with a membership. Your hair is very Roman. Thank you, Ferelden. I still think that's somehow a insult, but I'm going to prefer that it's not. Son of the All-Father likes my thick beard, while my thick beard likes you. Basically, all the most popular designs of the time were blocked due to Harmony Gold. Oh, yeah. I tell you, the best mech is the Timberwolf. Let me ask you guys this. So since we're off the topic of actual Trek, let me ask you guys this. Who would be better for a sponsorship from... Oh, man, and now that I'm saying I forget their name. You see them on everyone. Quentin Reviews does it. To do the face stuff, the shave and all that. Who better? And they won't do it. Who wouldn't want that? Right? Alexander Hagen helping out the channel. Thank you so much. I really... appreciate it. Again, keeps the lights on. I just hope you treasure every day you have with a full head of hair. I tell you, if this started receding or whatever, I'm going bald completely. I'm jealous of your beard. I can't grow any facial hair at all. Well, maybe you can have some. Maybe that's my next step. Instead of selling bathwater, I'll just sell my beard. Timberwolf is the best ever. So anyway, going back to the original reason for this. Dollar Shave Club, that's right. Who wouldn't? How does Dollar Shave Club not see the genius in this? Anyway, what was I talking about? Going back to the original reason that we have this, Trek's moral quandaries, is specific to, Trek did it a lot. They rarely ever didn't try to have something that was going on. So even filler episodes. Somehow tried to tackle it in one way or another. And I even brought this up, how the Discovery did it from time to time. David Deister, send it to james@lorereloaded.com. If you send it now while I'm live, let me know. So yeah, send me the link. And if you want me to share it out, I may. I'll take a look at it. I may. Marauder 2C is a good one too. Marauder 2C is not a good one because a 2C means that it is not an Omni mech. It cannot be modified. And who the heck makes mechs that can't be modified? Absolute waste of time. Hey, let's go ahead and design this mech and design it in a specific way that can't be modified, even though everyone else and their mom can make mechs that can be modified and can just beat the hell out of them. Why would you do that? That is so stupid. What's going on, Actaliz? Hope you're doing well. There will be a video soon with Tex and I, for those who are interested. All right, one last thing on BattleTech, because I know most people don't do this. I play MW, MechWarrior Online, to relax sometimes. And so I got a Direwolf. And I got a Direwolf, and what I did for fun is I bought 12 PPCs, removed all of the armor, and just put PPCs on it. And what I do is I run around and I get in as close as I can. I find one mech and I ruin that player's day. And after I've done that, after I fire all 12 PPCs, because I alpha strike it, my mech shuts down. And if I'm not fired on at all, it takes about 3 minutes, but the thing explodes. Like, not powered on in a winter map, explosion. By the way, 80 people watching this, 58 likes. Hit the like button. I know that this isn't what we were supposed to be talking about, but you still got to hit that like button. You still got to do it. It's just those are the rules. Anyway, let me ask you this. Do you think there are any Trek equivalents that really question morality better? I do think that what's going on, Laughable Larry? I do think Battlestar Galactica gives Trek a runs for its money. Even Babylon 5 to a degree, I think. But is there any modern things? Do you think that maybe the The Expanse, the show, The Expanse, does that? What are your opinions on it? Because I'm on the fence if there's anything modern, including modern Trek, that really, challenges us like what happened in the past. It sincerely feels like the more we go, the more media, the more things progress, the less we're challenged from a mental state. Now, that could absolutely just be nostalgia on my side. I will be 100% honest. That could just be me being like, man, I wish I was a kid when I didn't know anything and being challenged. But I'd love your guys' opinions. Babylon 5. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Babylon 5 and Battlestar Galactica, but those are in the past to a degree. The Andorian Nationalist says Star Trek is too heavily Marxist. Would you care to expand, or... How about Firefly? Firefly was good. I don't think it challenged as much. I think it was just a good, relaxed look at, just a Western in space. Like, truly a Western in space. I think, that was the original series to a degree. There are points in there. There is good versus bad. Mal at multiple points turned down money when he needed it for what was right. I don't feel like it's on par. I guess Black Mirror is a good example. Though Black Mirror more goes for horror. They're more interested in showing the evils of society than necessarily. They do have good points. They do have stories that are on par with Trek. But overall, I don't know. I do actually watch the Orville. I have several lore breakdowns on the Orville. I even do battle breakdowns of the lore of Orville. But that would be my point. Orville has been noted, and I think is true, as a modern TNG. But it is my solid opinion that it is watered down TNG Trek. Orville's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that's not. But if we're comparing it against story elements, if we're comparing it against what they did in the past, I just simply don't think that it stands up. And I don't, I still don't think that it stands up. And apparently, a innocuous remark is watching and is somehow still blocked. Hold on, guys. Let's go ahead and address that right now. Shane, what's going on? Michael Weir, one of the best people on the planet. Again, another patron supporter. But more than that, Michael Weir is just a good guy and should be receiving something in the mail quite shortly as a Patreon perk. But beyond that, just removing all that, he's a really good guy. Pretty fly, some might say. Some being me. All right, let me see real here. Remember Seth MacFarlane is a huge Star Trek fan and wanted to do his own Star Trek series? Yeah, that's, and he was actually in one of the, He was actually in one of the Enterprise ones, though they gave him a very small, almost unnoticeable. I didn't even know until I went and looked at his IMDb. He is really, really easy to miss in that, unfortunately. And I think that's again, as I said, I think that sucks because he could have really did some fun with that if they give him more of a role for it. To be fair, he probably wasn't as big a name back then, though, I guess, if we're being honest. I don't know. David Deister sent you an email. Hope you see it after the live stream. I actually did see it. Deister, you didn't have to thank you for the super chat. It really does come in handy. If you didn't have to actually super chat that, though, if you want the money back for that, because I definitely don't want you thinking you have to super chat it for me to see it. I was actually looking in my email when you said that, which is why I was kind of off, because I was like, where does this stuff go? Seriously, though, Space Above and Beyond was criminally underrated. You know, I have seen 1 or 2 episodes of Space Above and Beyond, and I actually liked what I saw. I think SF Debris did a breakdown on it, as did Lore Runner. I wouldn't mind watching all the way through and seeing it, but my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong here, for those who saw Space Above and Beyond, but didn't they not end it? That is to say, didn't it end on like a you don't know how it's going to end or not type deal? I'm not sure. By the way, innocuous remark, if you're watching this, try to talk on it. Let that be your last battlefield toss. It is a completely Marxist take on race issue. States race is just skin deep. What? Okay. Not sure. I've actually felt that Babylon 5 did a lot better with religion than Star Trek did. I'd agree there, Charles. I think it really did. When you look at how they handled religion, though, I will say this. It feels like every race was kind of a hat-wearing race when it came to religion, and humans somehow were just okay with being diverse. That said, removing that, I think that it did do a really good... and not just the episodes on that, but I think that there was a... there was at least 2 episodes that I remember where it questions whether the religion was real or not. They present what feels like a supernatural experience, but then kind of question it. And then there was one episode, I forget exactly what it was, but there was this priest or pastor or whatever, and he thought that a supernatural event was happening. And they prove on Babylon 5 it wasn't a supernatural event. And so he's questioning his faith. And the atheist actually talks to him and says, just because this wasn't a supernatural event doesn't mean supernatural events don't occur. And it was actually, I really enjoyed the way that it was put together. I thought it was done really well. Now, someone said that innocuous remark. Someone said that Space Above and Beyond failed, or that it failed due to bad writing or something like that. My understanding, and from what I've seen, Space Above and Beyond didn't fail due to bad writing. It failed because it was really expensive. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that is my understanding. By the way, innocuous remark, I saw that you gave a super chat. Thank you so much. I don't see that super chat anywhere here. I'm telling you, man, I know you think that I got you blocked and I absolutely hate you and I can't stand you and blah, blah, blah. I've done everything that I know to do. I'll tag YouTube, but you'd be surprised how many bugs YouTube has, right? And if I go to the super chat, he says, "Hey, thanks for unblocking me. I never had you I will send you an email after this." At Low Reloaded, I personally think we are in a dry spell for ideas for most writing rooms. This is not just Star Trek, but most TV and movies. I think 60, 70 B movies times. I don't disagree with that. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of the nostalgia come back. They're rebooting everything, right? And I would not disagree that it is because there's just no ideas out there. And I don't know that I can really blame people for that either, right? There's only so many ways to tell tales. And I do think that movie studios, like executives, are stifling creativity. And Lucas said in an interview, and I forget which, but he was talking about how basically you give, what execs do is they give a whole bunch of money to like young producers and young directors, and they say, hey, here's a whole bunch of money. Here's $1 million. Go turn it into 5 million. But the executives know that there is a chance that they are going to lose the money, so they give them restrictions. Well, you can't do A, B, C, and D, So the I think that the industry is becoming so much larger that that's why, right? Captain Geronimo going to bed and then for some reason timed out somebody. Why did we time him out, Captain Geronimo? Okay. I'm not completely sure why we did that. Let's make sure we're doing it for good reasons. Reboots aren't necessarily a bad thing, and sometimes they are needed for a long-running franchise like Doctor Who. Reboots can become a bad thing when they do it for everything. They have a reboot of, what is it? Jay and Silent Bob. Jay and Silent Bob is having a reboot. You have hit peak rebootedness. It has gone too far. Something is wrong in the system when Jay and Silent Bob is being rebooted. I just right now to hit the like button so hard I can, no matter what the convo. Well, Ariel Belay, thank you. When the original series took on the Vietnam War, they did it in a generalized way that was timeless. Kirk and Spock didn't enter Vietnam; they entered the concept of the brush wars. And I've talked about this before. People don't get this. The thing that angers me so much about Discovery is that it is so on the nose. It is so, you are wrong if you don't believe what I believe. And everybody yells that Star Trek is liberal and has always been liberal. Like, this is how Trek has done it all the time. When it is as far from the truth as you can be. Yes, there are episodes out there that do stupid stuff like that. Who Watches the Watchers? A couple other TNG episodes, a couple of DS9 episodes. Voyager had more than a couple. There were episodes that did that, but on the whole, tossed it at 2. On the whole, most every time they discuss something, even if they vehemently disagreed with it, they did it in a way that was respectful to the other person and showed why the other person was wrong. German Trekkie, so unfortunately I have to go. Well, thanks for coming by. I meant see you in another live video. Sorry, I'm half asleep. I got you, John. You have to talk about why it's wrong. Look, listen. Listen. 5 points if you know who that's from. And I'm going to do a rewrite, and I've already got one person who's going to be doing it. I already got one person who's doing it, and then I got to find a female actress. But, all right. You want to talk about how the wall is horrible and how Trump's policies are bad or evil or negative, or how they don't work, right? How immigration needs to be more open, or whatever. How you're hurting people by going that. First, you have to start off with people who follow Trump, who believe what Trump believes in, who are for a wall. Most of them, 90+%, probably 90+%, aren't bad people. They've just been convinced of something that you believe is a bad thing. All right. That's fine. So we remember that. We're still talking to people. We want to convince people to do what we think is the right thing. Right? So instead of doing this, and someone brought it up, make the empire glorious again. Instead of doing all these different scenes that attack the people, how about you have a scene between no politics. That's not why I'm here. Just hear me out, Michael Lindsay. Stay with me. Stay with me. How about you make a scene that is between Michael Burnham and Lorca. Lorca will be talking as a part of the Empire because he wants to become emperor or whatever. He'll be talking about how great it is to only focus on one government, the Terran Empire, and how the diversity that the Federation attempted to do is getting them killed in Michael's timeline because they're losing against the Klingons. And then you have Michael come in and discuss how diversity is better, how they're stronger with it, and even if you're losing to the bad guy, they're still the bad guy. You can still do it. You can still have it there. It can still be Trek and not be shoehorned in. And not made to have other people attacked. And, a lot of people are getting worried because I'm saying the name Trump or whatever. They're attacking Trump. It's not even about Trump. It's about having politics and issues of the day and having it in your work, but still doing it in a way that treats everybody as people who want to do the right thing. Because here's the point. Most people want to do the right thing. They just may be convinced to do a negative thing. That's what frustrates me about Discovery. It's not whether I agree with what Discovery is saying or not. It's that I know without a doubt, I know 100% that this is how you get people to not be on your side. This is how you get people to not listen to you, And it's just beyond, in my opinion, frustrating because I sincerely, and again, we're not going to get into it. We're not going to go down this road too much. I sincerely believe that for good or bad, the reason why Trump got into power is because the other side wouldn't let other people talk and called them Nazis. And people just got so mad they didn't care what other people were talking about. They didn't care whether it was right or wrong. They just wanted to go against that. It's not me I'm not attempting to be political. I'm just saying what I see it as. Michael Weir, talk to you later. Thanks so much for dropping by. Always fun. I was hoping for a Cisco cameo in the new Picard series, just so we can confirm he's alive. I don't know that they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to bring... I'd be very surprised if they bring back DS9. Ironically, it seems like they're very choosy in... very picky in any kind of cameos or anything that they bring over between the series. So I would be very, very surprised by that. R. McDutt, it's the way Discovery gives its message is the problem. I completely agree. I completely agree that it's just the way that it's done. The spirit of Discovery. And I forget who said that. Maybe someone here is it. But the reason why Discovery feels so different, the reason why Discovery, even in episodes where it does beat for beat what other Trek shows have done, feels different, is because the spirit in which Discovery was made is fundamentally different. And these are the same people doing Picard, which is why I'm going to keep an open mind, but still. Uh, 92 watching, hit the like button. That's right, hit that like button. It's strange feeling when people claim it's okay to kill a Nazi, then call their opponents or people who differ in opinion Nazis. No, that's dangerous, and that's getting people hurt. That's stupid, and that's dangerous as all hell. Makes me so mad. You know, even if the person doing it isn't going to do it, someone who is sick, who doesn't understand, who is mentally ill, is harming people because of rhetoric like that. It's because of rhetoric by churches and by people of religious values historically that we see abortion centers being blown up. That stuff is dangerous, and I cannot stand it, especially when it's someone who is like a politician, things like that. That, to me, is dog whistling in every form of the word, even if you don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry, guys. Let's change the episode. Quark was the epitome of capitalism. I love having him around to defend capitalism against the feds. It's interesting. I think DS9, going back to that point, DS9 took the flaws of the Ferengi and showed how those flaws do have positives to it, but also reflected the negatives of it as well, right? So I think it was very... I think it was a great way. The like button scares me. It adds things to my playlist. I don't know if I could handle firing up a playlist and listening to War while I shower. Who doesn't want to listen to a playlist of me while they shower? I mean, that's just delicious. Mary O'Brien was racist. Who said O'Brien was racist? Oh, when he talked about the Cardassians. Yeah, I mean, being married to a Japanese woman doesn't mean you're not racist. But I mean, I think that's more xenophobic. Yeah, I guess if we want to be pedantic, I could see it being used both ways. I think O'Brien had issues with Cardassians, but he came around, and it was a good way of doing it. I think O'Brien being xenophobic and then coming around was a good episode. And I think you saw him change and reform in DS9. You saw that arc go. So I think Picard is going to be better than Discovery, but I think it's going to be more of the same. Hopefully CBS learned their lesson. I think CBS did learn their lesson. I think we're going to see a better Picard, you know? I sincerely, honest to God, do. Okay, so we're getting towards the end. Let me take a look here, good friends. If I was given the thing to do... Oh my god, I don't use DeviantArt at all. Interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. But they are dirty Xenos. The Cardassians are dirty Xenos, that's true. He hated what they made him do in war with respect to O'Brien. Yeah, he hated who he became when he looked at them, but that's still the same as not liking them. Especially the way what he referred to them as. He used slurs, racial slurs. BL asked something that I get a lot. I addressed this in the last one. Kate Mulgrew putting down the franchise for being misogynistic. What are your thoughts on that perspective? Kate Mulgrew, if you follow her on Twitter, has historically been like that. She likes to do things in broad terms, but never name names. So she'll say that there was a lot of men that tried to keep her down while filming on Voyager. So her saying that isn't necessarily out of character for her. I would love to meet her. She seems just fun and just interesting. But here's the point. In the 60s, and I'm not saying it's okay, but in the 60s, it's just the way it was. What they did in 1960s on camera, like when the cameras were on, by 2019 standards, is aberrant and considered misogynistic or sexist. And that's with the cameras on. So you can only imagine what they're doing when the cameras aren't on. That said, I don't approve of it in some instances, but I can no more, go after it than I can after anything else that's occurred in our history. It's just what happened in that day and age. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it should have happened. I'm saying it's what did, and it's just something that has to be accepted. I think that it's gone both ways. I've said this before. Jerry Ryan was actually pretty handsy at times. Jay Dixon, nap time for me. Good talking to you. So she could do some things, and there have been female actresses on Trek and on other things that were pretty inappropriate. So I think that she was just stating the obvious and probably trying to get political points, but it's not outside of where she is, you know. TNG O'Brien, DS9 O'Brien had not. I would disagree, Bird of Prey 5. Maybe he had a relapse, but towards the end of it, I feel like he had a better understanding of the Cardassians. How are Vulcans different than Romulans? A ton of different ways, I would say. Culturally, they're focused on logic. Vulcans seem to have retained a majority of their psychic abilities, I'll say, and psychic's the wrong word, but you guys know what I mean. Whereas Romulans don't appear to have. So I don't know beyond that. I suggest go on YouTube and look for the top 10 episodes of every show and start with that. What did Luan X ask? Where did I miss it? Luan X. I don't see it. What was the question? I would have to say that post-traumatic stress syndrome was post-traumatic, and it created stress, which caused him to slur in a racist way. Talking about O'Brien, I would agree. DS9's O'Brien didn't forgive the Cardassians because they betrayed the whole quadrant. The post-Pleasantville period was entertainment hell for women, people of color, and the LGBTQ. The post-Pleasantville period. I'm not sure what that means. Can you expand on it for me? Have you read any of the literature set in the post-Dominion War? It's interesting to see Garrick embrace the Federation's democratic and liberal policies. Not all that much, no. I started and am in the middle of reading the Typhoid Pact, but I haven't read a lot. O'Brien had every right to hate Cardies everything he went through. Yeah, he was also in over 200 battles and such, so it was a crazy period. Wild and crazy period. Pleasantville was a movie. Pleasantville sounds familiar, but I'm not. Pleasantville movie. Nothing is as simple as black and white. I got no idea. I would be interested in maybe, if you have more information on that, send it to james@lorereloaded.com on Pleasantville. I'd be interested in that. I asked if a guy that is relatively new to Trek could watch Picard when it's out or should wait and watch all of it before. The Picard series, I mean, I don't know until the Picard series comes out. I'll tell you, a good way to get introduced into Trek, in my opinion, is to watch... Well, let me ask you this, Luan X. And please, Luan X, when you respond, do @LoreReloaded. Have you seen the JJ movies, the Kelvin timeline? Have you watched any of the JJ movies? If you have, can you tell me, and be honest, because there's not really a wrong answer here, did you enjoy the Kelvin movies? So let's start that way, and then tell me the answer to that, and then I'll give you my opinion on what you should do. And let me add to that, actually, Luan. Do you like 60s tropes? Can you put up with 60s movies? Pleasantville is a good watch. Snap to it, lad. Well, I'm not saying that Pleasantville isn't a good watch. I think I've actually seen it. My question is, the Pleasantville era, after Pleasantville, what do you mean when you say that? Think we'll see a more militaristic Starfleet in the upcoming Picard, or will Starfleet return to its pacifistic TNG? Everything we've everything we have looked at, everything that we've seen, tells us that they're returning to their roots. That said, we haven't really seen enough to know. It's just the uniforms where I get that from. Luan X, tell me your favorite sci-fi movie. You did enjoy the Kelvin movies, but also took them as standalone projects. There's a reason I ask. So when someone asks me how do I start in Trek, I ask them if they like the JJ Trek first. And there's a reason for that. I liked them. They were kind of dumb, but kept my attention through the runtime when it comes to the Kelvin stuff. Preventing criticism of certain Marxist political pets using racist, sexist, etc. is a great way to ruin those groups. Okay. Why wasn't O'Brien more anti-Federation, given that the Federation basically did the sacrifices and many other Starfleet sailors made during the Cardassian War? Bad writing, I guess? I don't know. It goes back to the wrong think and how the government can't do any wrong, if I was being honest. I think that in the universe, in Star Trek, we see how the civilian populace has been pacified and how a governing authority, whether they do it culturally or through systemic means, keeps everybody happy. And I think the reason that O'Brien and others don't blame the Federation is because that's just not what the culture does. You blame the outward source. And I don't think it was written that way on purpose. I just think that's the way it's written. All right, so in my opinion, you should probably start with TNG and watch the entire series if you can. The first 2 seasons aren't the best, but that's one of the best ways to start with it for someone who's more of a modern audience. I would go TNG, Deep Space Nine, and then depending on how well you like those, you could look at Voyager, and then the original series, and then look at Enterprise. And then once you're done with those, I would suggest the JJ universe and then Discovery and on. I would not, I'm concerned. Well, let me say this. The way they've changed stuff, you could probably watch Picard and not know anything about Trek. But I know that you couldn't, I know that starting DS9 and having no idea about Starfleet or anything, or Trek in itself, is a bad idea. My opinion, TNG, DS9, depending on if you like those or not, Voyager, and then Enterprise, and then ultimately TOS. If you didn't like TNG or you don't like DS9, look at TOS. You might enjoy it. And if you don't like, if you give it 4 seasons, binge 4 seasons of TNG. And if you just can't stand that, then I would suggest looking at the Kelvin timeline or Discovery. You may like those better. I wouldn't suggest JJ Trek or Discovery to my worst enemy, says Function. JJ Trek, I think, is interesting. It's a good alternate universe look at things. Discovery, I don't care for, but some people like it. And, you know, if you don't like TNG or you don't like the original stuff or you like more modern tropes, then Discovery might be for you. The thing is that Discovery doesn't do well with people like me, people who are nostalgic, people who saw what I would say, just an opinion, Trek at its best, don't necessarily like Discovery, but that doesn't mean that people don't enjoy it, right? Zamiko giving $5 helping out. In the TNG finale, we saw a future where the Klingons had conquered the Romulans. Do you think this could have been because Romulus being destroyed? Yeah, you see, that's an interesting thing. Not only in the finale, but in yesterday's Enterprise, I believe. Well, maybe not. But in the finale, we do see a alternate universe where that happened, and that could have definitely been where it came from. In DS9 episodes, where we see alternate universes, and the Klingons are more aggressive and taken over. Remember, in an alternate universe, the Klingons took over Deep Space Nine, and I think they probably took the Romulans as well. I think the reason why the Klingons don't dominate the Romulans is because of the Federation and that alliance, and I do think they probably took advantage of it. Charles Ryanley. Charles Ryanley says, no, TNG did set the roots of things to come later, such as the Borg. Are you talking to me, Charles? Axanar would have been awesome. I was hoping for something like that. Not looking at the people who made Axanar, behind the scenes, not looking at Peters or anything like that. Axanar specifically was true to the spirit, just what we saw. And remember, we only saw, 15, 20-minute thing, was true to the spirit of Trek. If Axanar was aired instead of Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek would have been reborn. Maybe. When you look from people who have read the script, it seems like the prelude to Axanar, which if you guys haven't seen it, go watch Prelude to Axanar immediately after this. It's excellent. Prelude to Axanar is not reflective of what they wanted to do, but I don't know. All right, guys, I think we're going to end it pretty shortly. You guys have anything else you want to add? I'm trying to do an hour a day. Starting next week, my kids will be going to school, both of them, which gives me about 6 or 7 hours here. So the videos will get better, get more in depth, and I'll be doing this a lot more. So... Was Ho Chi from Enterprise named after Ho Chi Minh Trail? Probably not. Because it's Ho Chi first. R. McDudd, Axanar is back in production. Axanar has been in production for years. Prelude to Axanar is the most excellent film. I would agree with that. If words were water, the humans would drown. So I like Axanar. I've done breakdowns of Axanar. The writing itself is excellent. So we're going to end it with this, and I'd like you guys' opinion on this. Laughable Larry, thanks for all you do. So I will be getting all of my equipment and basically have a mini studio on the 1st. I want to start doing more live action. So kind of like Quentin reviews or... whatever Suspect, what the hell is his name? He did the Power Ranger, The Unusual Suspect, and things like that. I will also start doing the movies, though that's going to be pretty slow because I can't justify taking focus away from other things to do it right now. And in the movies, I intend to have an actual storyline with me basically becoming like the lore master and stuff. And I really want to move in this direction because I really want to expand the channel. I think doing more live action stuff is the best way to do that and the best way to entertain you guys. Have you guys been enjoying the live action when I'm actually talking, trying to add more to it instead of just the voiceovers? It's okay for you not to, and I want you to be honest. Now, let me be clear here. I'm going to be doing that because I think that's the way it needs to go, and that's and I think I'm going to try to tweak things to make it enjoyable. But do you guys enjoy the live action stuff where I'm actually here? Would you like to see me more doing stuff with the voiceovers, or is the voiceovers really all you come for? There's no wrong answer to that, by the way. And just to set a fine point on this, with the exception of the movie reviews, I don't intend to go like Channel Awesome on this or Nostalgia Critic on this, where I'm doing a review and there's like this subplot of me trying to fight George Lucas with a lightsaber. One suggestion before you you should read the book Phase 2 before you do lore on the Star Trek and TMP. I've been looking into that actually. So it's good to talk Star Trek with someone who is more knowledgeable than me. Well, I try. Haven't seen your live action stuff. Well, Charles, I've been doing it for the last week. So if you look at my last week stuff, you should see it. I enjoy both 50-50. Okay. Well, I'm gonna do it again. I'm not going to in the general reviews. I'm not going to be doing anything necessarily like Channel Awesome or anything. I may throw a skit in here and there just to laugh and just to have fun. I really, one of the worst things you could ever do is just do the same thing over and over and over again. It's not good for you as a person, and if a channel doesn't change, it won't grow. And it's not good for people who are watching it. I think everything should always evolve. So that's why I'm always trying new stuff. And I really, the last thing I'll say, and then I'm out. I love doing stuff live action and similar to like movie stuff and things like that. And I really do enjoy what I see on Channel Awesome, or like when Linkara does stuff, or even even though I don't agree with a lot of the personal things he does, like Quentin reviews, or what the hell's his name? Oh man. Oh man, what's his name? Oh, hell, I'm going to remember it as soon as we get off of this. Absolutely going to remember it. There is a guy, he's young. He does all kinds of different reviews. He did the Terminator review where he had clones of himself. It was just done excellently. Oh, hell. It's not Chris Stuckman. I like Chris Stuckman. I like Jeremy Johns, too. But it's not that. Why the hell is this? I don't know. Man, that sucks. That's going to bug me. He's a kid. And he was in school. He did his own film. And I forget his name. I right now forget his name. He's one of the most excellent YouTubers that ever did. Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall. Oh my God, the Power Rangers series from Linkara is just excellent. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And guys, I am going to see you on the next Lore Related.